People with ADHD and all mental health are looked down on by the world around them, but we will protect you here. We exist to motivate you, to inspire you, to listen and love the story you want to tell. We are here to understand you and to help you gain the confidence to truly be yourself. And you just might be more powerful than you think you are. Make no mistake, we've got your back. Welcome to Lobow Spark. Something for someone.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Lobow Spark is proudly sponsored by Feather. Feather your impact with Feather CRM. If you need help managing your online relationships, go to www.feathercrm.io. And this is just a reminder that Lobow Spark has started a fundraising effort for Crisis Text Line. We have a goal of $19 per episode, as $19 supports one person in their time of absolute crisis with their mental health. And I think all of you know what is meant by that. But just to let you know, $1 goes a very, very long way. If you would like to donate through our fundraiser titled Lauren's Infinity, the link is listed in the episode's description. Lobow Spark is also assisted by the help of Leo Guinan and Kirk Hofstrom. Welcome to Season 7 of Lobow Spark. Something for someone. Today, we have a unique and amazing episode of Lobow Spark as Leo Guinan and I co-host with one of the most fun people I have ever met. He goes by the name of Reddy, and he is currently building a platform called Play. Play is whatever you want to make it, and Reddy will take us through just how important it is for adults to be free, to be kids again. Leo will take us through some exciting updates on his Feather CRM, as well as he tries to put the social back into social media. So how does this fit into being a warrior? A warrior is someone who dedicates a ton of time and effort to the betterment of others. Warriors work in order for others to be free, to be themselves. That is what both Play and Feather are doing. Both of these ideas started with hearts that put people first. Listen to the three of us spend some time truly living in the moment. That is hard for adults to do these days. Today, we set an example for so many by saying it is okay to have fun. Warriors fight for many different reasons. We fight to hopefully show you that it is completely okay to be yourself, to be a kid, to build what you want. Leo and Reddy, together we are something for someone.
Yes!
All right, we got it.
Yes! Reddy, how are you?
What a funky background you have there.
I know, it's a spark thing, you know? It's really a shower curtain with with fire on it that my wife got me. So
Oh man.
I am so jacked up about this because when I was watching y'all's episode, I wanted to play. Like, I want to play. Put me on the fucking playground, okay? Like, I'm so into this. I want to play. Y'all two were playing, having a great time. I started to get a little jealous. I'm like, I want on the field, please. I would like to play now.
Oh man. So great to be here. I wasn't sure. I was like, hey, wait a minute. Is this the right time? Am I on the right place? And I was like all groggy because I just like dozed off for an hour and I just woke up and I was like, oh, did I just miss the whole shebang?
And if you did, we'd do it tomorrow. So it's no big shit.
So the fun of like working with ADHD folks, like
yeah.
We're so used to it. It's like, all right, we missed that one. We'll bring it back around.
Exactly. So my name's Lobow, Reddy. It's very nice to meet you. I'm good friends with Leo, obviously, because when I was watching y'all's conversation, I could not get enough of it. I could not get it. I had to meet you. So because what you're doing is fucking brilliant.
Man, first off, I am so stoked that you dragged me in here. Like, I'm not saying, like, you guys dragged me in here kicking and screaming, but
Yep.
I am so happy to be in here. I am absolutely stoked. I mean, like, your intro message was like, I was like, wow, is this for real? I'm like, yes, let's do this now. Oh, man, I am so happy you loved our conversation. I'm so happy that you want to play as well, because that's exactly what this is all about. I just want us to be so infectious with play, because that's the only way you're going to be, you can't really force someone to play. You can't really drag someone in kicking and screaming. You just need to like inspire them to, it's almost like instigate them to play, right? There has to be, like, I always believe that the easiest way to get someone to play is to pull a prank on them. Right?
Yeah. Well, what is no joke is the whole play idea. I mean, that is a legit thing, because listening to y'all talk about it, I wanted to be on the playground. Like, I wanted to be in that conversation. That's your whole goal, right? Is, not to drag people kicking and screaming like you just said, but to encourage them to want to play.
Yeah, right. And that's kind of like, I mean, I didn't know, like, when I first met Leo, when you wrote over to me, and I was just like, I hadn't actually thought that, like, this is, the idea of neurodivergence, ADHD, ADD, these are all like, personally, I've always believed, like, I was like, I hate someone putting labels on me. So which probably means I'm one of you guys. Because, when you use the word neurodivergence, right? Like, if you look at it as a scale, like, anyone who isn't neurodivergent, like, neurotypical, is essentially a part of the neurodivergent spectrum. Like, if you look at it, like, how could it, like, if you think of people who are neurotypical, they're just one little section amongst that larger spectrum of neurodivergence, right? I mean, like, even if you just think of it, anything that's divergent, like if you think of light passing through a spectrum and then it splits up into all these colors, and then that's exactly what it is. I mean, like, you can't really put someone outside of that spectrum. So anyone who's even identifying themselves as neurotypical is still a part of the neurodivergent spectrum. At least this is the way I see it, right? That's why I always never thought that I need to put a label on things, or I need to, like, I'm very happy to identify with myself with anyone and anything who's like, just the word neurodivergent, it makes me feel like, yeah, man, that's exactly what it is. Like, why the fuck would I want to be typical about anything?
Yeah.
And that's a good sign. That's the way I've always kind of looked at it is that the labels are helpful for letting you know which instruction manual goes with your brain. And when you're not able to understand what's happening, like that's when problems happen, right? So if those labels help you kind of say, oh, these are the instructions I need to follow, and this is how my brain works and I can work with that, then it's perfect. If in your case, like, if you don't need to put a label on it because you're vibing with it, right? You know what you're doing, you know how your brain works, like, the label doesn't matter. It's already working. The labels are only used to get you where you want to go and kind of get you, because that was it for me. Like, when I realized, like, oh wait, my brain doesn't work the way I've been told it's my whole life growing up, like, it was like, why don't you do this well? And I'm like, I don't know, why don't I do it well? I try, right? And so I think that's really where the labels can help. But yeah, if you don't need the labels, fuck the labels. Like, it's all about helping, right?
Yeah,
and get on podcasts like this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No. And this season is entitled ADHD Warriors, which I couldn't think of a better scenario than the three of us getting together like this. Because what is a warrior? A warrior is someone that devotes a shit ton of time to trying to help others. That is what Reddy is doing, that is what Leo is doing, and that is what I am doing. So we are going to get together in a threesome, which I thought was a hilarious comment, by the way, because who doesn't want it? I agree. So if you could take me through, Reddy, and Leo, I want you to do the same thing, a 5-minute pitch of what play is and how it can help you.
Oh man, 5 minutes.
I know.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, that's another thing about this whole neurodivergent thing. It's about time. Like, how would you define time? Like, 5 minutes can feel like 5 seconds. It can feel like 5 hours. It can feel like 5 days. I mean, like, that's when I know, like, we're awesome. We're amazing, because we can choose how time relates to us, right? Like, right now, I could talk about this idea of play is as simple as me doing something right here, right now, completely immersed in it, right? Like if you look at kids playing, if you look at animals playing, they are so totally immersed in the moment. Nothing else matters. There's no baggage of the past. There's no desire for the future. There's nothing like, oh man, if I do this now, I'm going to be like, if I start running now, I'm going to be like Usain Bolt tomorrow, right? Like there's always, human games are obsessed with the future. They're obsessed with reaching somewhere, getting somewhere, overtaking someone else. It's always, there's no emphasis on the present moment at all. But the way I look at it, play is exactly that. It's not about the human games that we have made where there are rules, there's regulations, there are outcomes, there's results, there's scores, there's competition, none of that. Like if you look at play, it's just purely and complete immersion in the present moment. Doing anything, like I could just be like, I could just, I got this little back scratcher here. I'm going to start digging my nose with it. Right? I'm playing with my nose, with my nostrils. I'm like, okay, what's this? I could spend the next 5 minutes doing this, and this is my idea of play. Who's going to deny that?
So what you're providing people is happiness.
I guess you could say that, because that's what I want. That's what I want from this.
At its core, that's what it sounds like, is if you can get on a call with you, a Zoom call or whatever, and pick your nose and do, all those kind of things. People don't do that. Adults don't do that. But how many times do you want to just let shit out? That's why I think this is so brilliant, is because you are providing a place for people to be happy and saying it's okay to be a kid.
Yes, exactly. Because, like, just think about it. Like, this is so difficult for an adult to do because it's going to be like, oh my God, Leo's looking at me like, oh, I just met the guy. I mean, like, what's he going to think? I mean, like, I'm pulling out, why do I have a back scratch on my desk? And what's it doing up my nose? Where was it before this? Like, there's so much happening, right? If he's pushing it up his nose, where else is he pushing it up? Like, there's so much.
I wasn't thinking that, but I am now.
But I mean, that is, what is play? Play is a place that makes you happy. There it is.
Beautiful.
And that's not a 5-minute pitch. That's a 30-second, 5-second thing.
But 5 seconds feels like 5 minutes because time is relative. We've covered that, Lobow. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Time is relative. But when he said everything's about the moment, I mean, ADHD people live in the moment. I mean, that is what we do. So
it's because that's where the fun is, and
right.
We have a hard time like separating from this idea of like, well, why would I want to go do that other thing that sucks? Because this is fun for me. And then it gets really powerful when you learn to align fun with long-term goals, because you say, well, I want to accomplish this, but I don't know how. So I want to build a startup. I don't know how. I'm going to get online and start talking to people and just like see what happens, right? Like that was the biggest thing for me, is figuring out how to let this go of these, let go of these preconceived notions that I had of what it meant to be a founder, what it meant to be, an entrepreneur, what it meant to be all of this stuff. Because I realized that all of those labels, kind of bringing it back to that discussion, were really holding me back because, it sets the rules of the game, right? And when you're playing by someone else's game, or, by someone else's rules, it's very hard to let loose and have fun, especially when all the rules are kind of arbitrary and not particularly well defined, and everybody's playing by different ones, but they say one thing. And so kind of realizing all of that, like, the idea of play is incredibly powerful because it ends up being just a lot of experimentation that you can do, and when you set the rules of the game you want to play, and you kind of determine like, this is what I'm going to play with. There's so many possibilities now. There's so much room for growth and exploration and fun, because you don't know what the future is going to bring exactly, but you've kind of got a direction. You're just going to play with things and see what feels good, see what you vibe with and what you don't. And so, yeah, I think that's absolutely just a brilliant way to look at it, because, yeah.
You know what, Reddy, what I think you're doing is, it's an adult recess.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Precisely, right? except we aren't taking a break from anything. We aren't taking a recess from anything. This is it. Like if you look at kids, the only two things, the way I see it is like very binary for kids. There's nap time and there's play time, right? If you're so exhausted from playing, you just roll over, crash out, and you're knocked out, right? You wake up and then you want to play again. Because even eating, which is like a basic survival thing, is like playtime. Kids are always playing with their food, and adults always like, stop playing with your food, right? But the kids are playing with their food.
I do that. I have such bad table manner. I mean, like I like that.
So,
but that's perfect.
I do have to laugh at the whole like playing until you're completely exhausted, because it just made me think. At one time, my wife and I went out and we left. I think my oldest son was our only one at that point, so he probably would have been like 2 or 3. And we left him with my sister-in-law and her husband, and we like came to pick him up that evening, and he was literally just like completely like passed out in the middle of their floor. Like he apparently was just playing until he literally like just gave up and was just face down in the middle of the floor. Like, so we're like, how long has he been like this? Like, you didn't bother to put him on the couch or anything? Like,
that's
no,
amazing.
He fell asleep, and so we left him that way. Like, okay, well, I mean, but that's the image I got when you said, you know, it's playtime or nap time. And then, well, like sometimes you just play until you literally pass out on the floor, and that's how you know it was good playing. Like that's a good sign.
Yeah.
That's Leo, that's perfect, because that's like what I do every night.
Oh, me too.
I mean, truly. Like, I just go until I literally cannot stand up anymore, because, I mean, we don't have all that long here on Earth. Why not go every day until you collapse?
Why not? Doing stuff that sucks. Like, yeah, like have fun, play,
right.
You know, live.
Right.
Like, and you know, I think the cool thing about the internet is that it makes playing actually a lot more lucrative than it has been in the past, and people are starting to discover that you can play, and then all of a sudden it's like a valuable thing. And you know, I believe that we should be able to kind of monetize play as well to some extent, just to offset the working all the time, right? Like people work because they want to have the time to play, but you know, jobs don't pay enough with kind of the way things are growing and all of that. So I actually think there's an interesting opportunity to kind of pay for playing and actually pay people to experiment. And you know, I think doing like a lot of like helping people with, you know, take courses and things on ideas that they want to explore, I think is a great way. It's a good place to find playmates, right? People who want to experiment, who want to like play around with ideas and, you know, share thoughts, and they're working toward a goal, and everybody's learning. So it's a safe space, right? That's, we were talking about that. It's got to be a safe space for experimentation and everything. And that's why I think we've seen this kind of rise in these, almost like, you know, professional communities that are really like community playgrounds where people want to come and start exploring life outside of this kind of corporate box that we've been told that we should think inside. And it's interesting.
So what is your ultimate goal for play? Reddy, and then I'll move to Leo to give his 5 minute to 10 minute to however long pitch on Feather, because I'm trying to help y'all. I want to get y'all's voices like more escalated, because that conversation between y'all two was fucking ridiculous. Like it was so good.
You know, that is exactly it for me. This is it. It's just like I'm actually a very selfish person. I mean, like I was just chatting with someone today, and they were like, you know what, you're just harping about play all the time, but you never seem to leave specific instructions on how to play. Like you're just all about why to play, but you're not telling us how to play. Where are the instructions? Where's the step-by-step manual? Where's the, you know, and I'm like, that's exactly what play isn't. Right? The obsession with instruction, with especially now we're in this whole data-driven world. Like, I need to know why, you know, you need to tell me the numbers, like where are the numbers, where are the graphs, this obsession with numbers and figures and instructions and processes. I mean, this is a very, it's a rudimentary thing, right? Like
Fake.
following processes. Yeah, right. It's very basic. That's something that any animal can do. What's amazing about being a human is the fact that we can reprogram ourselves on the fly, destroy, that is, erase our previous programming. Like a cat cannot bark like a dog cannot meow like a cat. A human can do all of that, right? We can imitate any single animal, right? And that's what makes us human, is the fact that we can play around with our inbuilt programming. Like each one of us, all living creatures, comes in with this BIOS level embedded programming already built in, right? That's it. Like that's what you got. Cats are going to do the cat thing, dogs are going to do the dog thing. Like that's about it. That's what you got inbuilt. We, on the other hand, have this incredible ability to take our inbuilt programming, reprogram it, add on layers, install new apps, constantly upgrade ourselves. Like this incredible ability to program and reprogram, unprogram, and do the whole thing all over again. And to me, that is how we play in this universe. That's how we play as human beings. But if we stick to those little boxes that society puts us in and says, okay, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do, then, I mean, like, missing the point of being human after all, right? Like, what the fuck is the point of being human if you're just going to be sitting in one of those little boxes? Right. Why do you think you're so much better than animals if you're going to do exactly what they do? And animals are actually incredibly good at what they do because they're incredibly good at playing. Like I have, like this whole obsession with playing came when COVID struck and I was just sitting at home, locked in, nowhere to go, nothing to do. And all I had for company was a dozen cats. And I was like, man, they were just at it. They would be playing all day. They couldn't care less that people were dying all across the globe. They couldn't care less that we were locked in and we couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't care less that we couldn't go out and meet people. They just could make do with each other, with anything and everything. It didn't matter if the other cats were sleeping, the one that was awake would start playing with the leaf, would start playing with something, would start rolling over and playing by itself. Like there was never a moment where there was an excuse not to play, right? And this is something that blew my mind. I was like, wait, so you're telling me that this is the only thing, like my greatest purpose on this planet, like this great, what's the meaning of life? Why am I here? What's my great grand purpose? Is to do nothing but play? That's it. Like that is, I mean, that is something that really assaults the average human's mind because he likes to believe that there has to be some great exalted purpose and some massively amazing goal. That's all cool, but that's the game that you play for yourself. You decide for yourself. You say that, hey, I want to build the largest, metaverse thing in the universe. I want to take people to Mars. You set games for yourself. Those are games. If you decide that all you want to do is dig your nostril with a back scratcher for the rest of your life till you freaking die, well, that's awesome. No one can beat you at that game. You win the game you choose to play.
So the goal is to have no goal.
And make them up along the way if you feel like, destroy them if you feel like.
That's so ADHD, I can't even tell you. That is, it is. I mean, that is what ADHD people do, is jump from one thing to the next because it feels good. And all of a sudden you land on your feet. You don't know how the fuck you got there, but you just followed what you loved.
Because it turns out play is incredibly useful for building skills. And this is something I've been learning. So actually my youngest is in Cub Scouts. And one of the things they've done at, most of their little meetings is they will play some game at the end. And it's all around them. And the games that the woman who's in charge of it picks actually tend to come from Native American games where they were teaching skills like hunting skills and tracking skills and things like that by designing these games to kind of emulate these skills. And so what ends up happening is people follow what they love doing and end up writing about it and creating videos about it and doing all of this. And then one day they look up and realize, wow, I've actually spent like hundreds or thousands of hours doing this, and I'm actually pretty good at it now. And it's like, people will pay me a lot of money to do that for them because they didn't spend that time in that practice. They didn't spend time following the stuff they loved. They spent a lot of time worrying about what other people thought about, whether the laundry was done. They didn't actually spend their time building up skills and things like that. And so all of a sudden, you've spent, 10 years of your life just upskilling rapidly because you're bouncing around from idea to idea, exploring what you love. And then you're totally underpaying me because I can do all this incredible stuff that I spent time doing. And sorry you didn't, but I was having fun and now I'm talented. So that's how it works.
That's exactly right. I'm completely convinced now that I might be a cat. is what I'm thinking. And I'm more of a dog person, but now I'm like, well, shit. If this guy had 12 cats, I would have played soccer. I would have gotten 6-on-6, and we would have set up a goal, and it would have been just unbelievable. Like, I'm just thinking about that now. Isolated with 12 cats, we'd have figured out a way to play some sports. Like, I'll tell you right now, it would have been unreal. Leo, let's pitch Feather.
So, Feather. This is something I've been revamping and refining, but I think what I've said about is that Feather helps you amplify the messages that need amplified, helps amplify the voices that you want to amplify. So the latest part that I'm working on is the idea of being able to help amplify messages, and it's very much like a sharing thing on Twitter, but like on Twitter you just retweet and it's in a sea of retweets, and no one really pays attention to it. What makes this different is you actually have to like put in the effort to say, yes, I want to amplify this person's message, right? And so there's that little extra effort that's just a little bit to show that you care enough, right? You say, yes, I want to help this person achieve their goals, and on social media that requires an amplified message because it's hard to get noticed, right? And so you form these connections and you have people who agree to do this, and then you say, okay, well, I've got this tweet that's announcing something. Maybe it's a podcast episode, maybe it's a software launch, whatever it is, right? It's something that you're proud of that you want people to see. And what you do is then you click a button and it emails a link out to everybody, and they're going to have a link that just takes them to that tweet and says, like, this is important. Can you please amplify this? Because what it does is it gives every single person in your audience an equal chance to play a part in your success. So every single person in your audience matters exactly as much as everybody else because they are there because they want to help you succeed and they want to amplify your message. And my prediction from this is that what you'll see is with only a very few people in that chain, the messages will start being seen at much, much higher levels than anybody currently sees by just relying on the algorithm. Because what you're doing is you're really giving people the opportunity to help you in a very clear and concise way. And you're doing it in a way that says, this is an important task. I'm giving this to you as a way to because you can help me. And this is how you do it. All you have to do is, follow these instructions, interact. But then the important thing too is they'll also have a button to share to their audience that they want to amplify, right? And so that's really where that chain building starts in. So you say, this is important to me. Can you please amplify it? And then they amplify it to their audience, says, this is important to me. Can you amplify it? And it creates this chain reaction that ultimately helps people get noticed. And importantly, in kind of the data engineering part of it, because I am still an engineer, after all, we can also route this data to other places. So I'm going to have a Twitter, I actually already started setting up the Twitter account focused on building in public. And so it's going to be companies that want to build in public and kind of just have a press release. It's like an AP wire for companies building in public. And then, further on down the line, everybody will kind of be able to have this option to kind of set up these publications where you actually get this media outlet that you can use to amplify whatever. And right now everybody is like social and media all combined, and nobody has any idea what's what, and it puts people on guard. What this does, it really separates out the social and the media and says, like, most of the time I'm just worrying about social, like I'm building relationships, but then the media part of it is, hey, this is important to me, can it be important to you too, can you help me boost this message? And so yeah, I think that's going to be this was the part that I feel like I was missing, so I'm really excited to see how this plays out. People already seem to be excited for it because I've been talking to startup founders who just have been spending a ton of time like on like product hunt and things like that, trying to like get everybody they know like, hey, can you help me amplify this message so that I can score well on product hunt? And this is like, what if you could just push a button and have all of that work done for you? So that, you know, because that's the thing. People want to help us, but sometimes it's really hard to explain exactly how they can help us and why that's important. And when you start trying to do that at scale, it gets really confusing because we're on 15 different platforms and, you know, we need this shared because we're looking at these stats, and it goes back to like the, you know, looking at the metrics and everything. And then this is a really like, I want to simplify that into a very basic metric of this is important to me. Can it also be important to you? And I think that is the ultimate golden key there.
I completely agree. I think so. How this is even happening now, Reddy, is that I reached out to Leo to talk to me about ADHD. We hit it off because it was a human interaction. Okay. And then all of a sudden, we've had just amazing talks. I mean, Leo has been on every single one of our group podcasts. I mean, you've been on the show like 10 times probably, but we're better friends. I mean, it's not, I don't consider Leo like a guest. I mean, he's a friend, you know, of mine. But none of that happens unless I reach out and say, would you like to talk? Which plays into play, which is what you're trying to do. The thing is, with all of these people, you do need a button to click that can further amplify these talks, because you don't, no human on earth has the time to say like, okay, I like this person, I like this person, I like this person. I got to go through and email all of them separately and then set up all of these things and whatnot. All I did was reach out to Leo, and now the three of us are talking. And that's an amazing thing. And that's what you're trying, Reddy, to do. But you need a button to amplify it.
Exactly.
This is why I wanted y'all two together so bad. Because
That's exactly it.
This would be so good.
All it takes is that. It's just that little reach out and say, hey, want to play, right? Like,
right.
It's all it takes. I mean, like, if you look at it, that's how simple it is in the kiddie kingdom, right? As we grew up, all we did was reach out to someone and say, hey, want to play, right? That's it. But now it's almost like there's this incredible friction involved in interacting and reaching out to someone. I mean, if you can pull it off as simply and easily as you did, like, that's all it takes. It's just reaching out and say, hey, want to play, right? The rest of it is like, you know, you don't need to tell me who you are, what you do, where you're from, you know, what. All of that is just an added experience that probably can help make the game more interesting. But the actual effort of reaching out is something as simple as, hey, want to play, right? That's right. All it takes. I mean, it's almost like we've forgotten that very core aspect of just reaching out and saying, hey, want to play. And then it's all like, hey, so I'm so-and-so, I'm from here, this is what I do, this is what I did, and this is what I want to do. And like, you know, maybe something, you know, we could find something in between, common in between that. We don't need that. I find that rather amusing that we're always looking for something common between each other to start the game. But you look at kids, there's nothing, because they don't need anything in common between each other to start the game. You start the game and then you discover things along the way. And I think that's the magic of play, right? Like, we're constantly in the process, in the moment, in the experience with each other. That's how we discover ourselves. Like, we discover more about ourselves in play, in interaction with another person, right? And the same thing happens for the other person as well. Like you discover more about yourself when you're interacting with me. I discover more about myself when I'm interacting with you. And it's amusing that I always think that I'm trying to get to know you better, you're trying to get to know me better. But the truth is, when you look back at it in hindsight, it's actually you learn more about yourself in that interaction with the other person, right? It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we did find out more about each other and we did understand more about each other. That's all awesome. But if you really pause and look, you realize, oh man, I realized that this is what I thought about myself. But when I was playing with Leo, I realized, oh, this isn't what I am, right? Like I realized there's something else. So who I am in relation with another person is best discovered through this process of play. It's this interactive play between the three of us. That's when we're figuring out more about each one of us. Of course, we have all this layered stuff going on, but the truth is it's such a deeply intrinsic process, even when we're playing with others, especially when we're playing with others.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I think at its core also is you're helping yourself by helping others.
Boom.
That is what this podcast is.
Oh, man, sweet.
That is the core. Would you agree, Leo?
I would. And so you help yourself by playing, and that actually helps others, which I think is kind of a even better separation because, when you put yourself out and play, it's kind of a vulnerable situation, right? And that's kind of the safety aspect comes in. You have to feel safe when you're doing it. And so by putting that out there, what you're actually doing is you create kind of this magnet effect to yourself because you're saying like, I'm here playing and therefore this space is safe. And so people see that and they say, oh, that's a safe place and I can go there and I can play too. And I can, let my guard down because the internet is really divisive right now. And so it's got a lot of people are on guard. And so being able to really represent yourself in a vulnerable way, in a playful way, going online and just, cracking jokes even. And I've tended toward more of the educational side of things and kind of this more specifying my thought process out just because it's the problem with jokes and joking is that they require context and the internet is terrible with context. It takes everything out of context and it's so I have this natural inclination of anything I post, it's well, is there any possible way that this could be taken out to make me look like a Nazi? And that's and it's something that we have to consider, and so that's something I've really looked at too, and it's really about presenting messages in the right context, right? And so I think presenting the ideas in the context of a specific relationship in terms of, I think this is important and I want you to think it is too, I think is a very important contextual framing because maybe it is a joke that people want to amplify because they think it's funny and they want, and I think people will use it that way to amplify jokes and things. And that's cool because that's the context it was in. And so that's what amplified it. And so what this does is it really sets the context to being a very positive, intentional context, as opposed to this went viral because somebody took it out of context and got a whole bunch of people outraged at something that's not anywhere related to the initial idea, which is, that's something I've seen time and again. And it's how can we prevent that from happening? And it comes from being intentional, and it comes from coming from a place of vulnerability of, hey, I need your help. Yeah. Can you help me with this? And I think that completely resets the conversation we have online because it comes from that vulnerable position. It comes from that, I need your help. And that just, I think, is absolutely huge.
The difference between Feather and Twitter is trust.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you say, Reddy? Trust is the issue because that's what you're doing with play is you are trusting another person and they are trusting you to have some happiness in their damn lives for a little bit, to have fun, to forget about all the other shit for a second. Trust is what the two of you are describing in a nutshell. Yeah. It's both built on trust.
Totally. Like, if you look at it, like what separates a playground from a battleground, right? The only thing is safety, right? Where you know that, okay, I might pull your leg, I might crack a joke that would make you, it could make you laugh because it's funny, it could make you cry because it's hurtful, right? But at the end of the day, the intention is not malice, right? Like I always have this thing that it's mischief, not malice. There's this clear, it's a fine line. It's definitely a fine line because life is going to get boring if we're not going to be pulling each other's legs. And, it's going to be, I always feel like, it's like this whole idea of war and peace, like this war happening right now, like this idea of war and peace, it's never going to work because peace is inert, right? Like you're not going to have peace. Peace is a vacuum. And the longer you have that vacuum, war is just going to come rushing you. What you need is play, right? If you don't want war, you need play. You need something as intense as war, but in a way that is uplifting rather than breaking down people. You want something that is lifting each other up. And that active, it's active, it's play. Peace is inert. Peace is nothing. Right?
You're describing football. You're describing,
and it's sports.
You're describing
sports in
football. That's what it is. And what is sports? Sports are a game.
Yes.
That you are playing.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I think like the most primal experience has always been just roughhousing. So for me, it's like throw me on a wrestling mat with someone, and then that's all I need. Right? There's something very primal about getting physical, it's just like playing on the mud, except like now you don't have mud, you're on a wrestling mat. But then the idea that if you look at it, like that is the first thing, like before you even start walking, animals are trying to out wrestle each other, trying to suckle their mother's milk, right? They're like, oh no, let me get at it first. Let me get it. No, not you, I'm going to get at it first. Like there's this thing where we're constantly like fighting is something that's got a bad rep today because it's like, oh no, let's not fight. Like fighting is bad. Don't do that. But I feel like it's one of those, like why you fight can be right or wrong or can be good or bad. But the very act of fighting is something that's primal, something that's playful, something that's mischievous, something that's explorative of my own body and the other person's body. And I feel like this connects back to, the whole safety paradigm, right? Like when you start pushing each other's boundaries, when you start playing with each other's comfort zones, what you're doing is also discovering what hurts the other person, what hurts me. And the finer this understanding of what hurts one person, what hurts the other person, what hurts me, what hurts the other, is what makes us safer in the larger playground. Because now I know that something as just like pushing someone away could be hurtful if they fall in the wrong way, right? Sometimes I could push with all my might and it may not have hurt the other person at all. This fine line, this distinction, it comes down to jokes as well, right? Like it could be a very nasty joke, but it might be, just dismissed because either the context was precise or either the fact that, the person was already in such a playful mode that I could have said anything and they'd have laughed off.
Context.
It matters.
Context. That's like for example, I feel like I want those glasses. Like Reddy, I want the glasses. Okay, so like I've got a pair of glasses too that I wear sometimes, and then this is the sleek, look or whatever.
I had to get my.
I want us to switch glasses for a day and see what.
I can get sunglasses too. So we can get
See, like this is fun. This is fun. Oh yeah. We are the Matrix. We are the Matrix right now. I fucking love this. Dude, what you are doing, Reddy, I'm telling you right now, I would give anything to do an hour long. Like, I mean, that is such a brilliant idea. Like, we just got to have some way of getting people to realize how brilliant it is without worrying about numbers and worrying about, goals or whatever. And we've got to find some. We're going to help. We got to get this done because
I mean,
because I want to play.
That's what we're working on, right? Because
Right.
I think by showing people ways to amplify messages that don't require hours and hours and weeks of effort to get people's attention, and we're not flooding people's inboxes with spam messages to try to because right now we've got 300 million people trying to wrestle at the teat of our attention, right? And it's too much. And so what we need to do is we need to break it down into kind of these smaller ideas and base it around these pools of trust, because that's where play happens. That's where growth happens. And what people are going to see is that they're going to notice that the people who have been playing the whole time are the ones who are getting ahead. They're the ones who are growing the way they want to. And that's kind of a part of the idea that I'm trying to push too, of like this amplifying this message of, if you want something, go out and, figure it out. Play until you get the right answer. Play until you end up where you're wanting to be. And by showing people that is possible, by letting them see that others can play their way into success, they start realizing that, wait a minute, I can play too. And then, if we inspire one person to start a playground, that inspires tens or 20, hundreds, thousands, whatever. And so it's all about helping people figure out how to set up these playgrounds, how to set up these environments that are safe for play. And then people will naturally want to play because it's fun. They're going to see us having fun. They're going to listen to this podcast and go, I want to be here too. I want to be in the fun.
That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me when I was watching y'all. I was like, fuck this. Everyone else is on the back burner. I'm playing. We're doing it right now. I'm on the playground, goddammit.
It's more fun.
I want to play. It really was just invigorating to listen to y'all, to where, like, when I was editing, I'm like, I can't edit this because it's 2 hours and 20 minutes but god damn it, how do you edit something like that where it was just so fun? Which is why I think
do what you can, and then you have another one.
yeah, that's
Schedule a
true.
future play date.
So, and this is I'll schedule a future playmate. And then what?
Yes,
yeah. Take me to the mansion. No, but so the last thing I always like to do on this podcast, if it's more than actually it's anybody, is, and this is my biggest question, it's also the hardest question to answer, is what are you most proud of yourself for? Because I feel like most neurodivergent people don't think about that enough. They don't think about themselves in this light of, what am I awesome at? Like, how am I a badass? They don't think about that. All they do is dwell on what they're not good at, or what someone else tells them that they're not good at. And that pisses me the fuck off, because I want people to recognize how good they are, god damn it. And that is like the number one goal is I want people to feel good about themselves. And so do you, and so does Leo. I mean, that's what
it all comes down to.
Right. But we are in a society right now that is harping so hard on what you suck at. I am here to tell you that you don't suck. But I'm asking the hardest question is, why are you a fucking badass, and what are you proud of? And you can feel free to brag about yourself, Reddy. You can be the cockiest, most arrogant person on earth, and I will fucking love it. Okay? I will absolutely love it.
Oh, man. That is very close, Comfort, because, like, that's exactly what I'm good at. I am absolutely brilliant at being a fucking asshole, right? Like, that's something I'm freaking awesome at.
Yes! Finally, I've been doing this for a whole year, and I wanted that answer to validate myself in terms of how I go back. That is, okay, podcast over. That was the whole point. I needed that validation right there.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. All right. What's next? That is amazing. Do you want to elaborate on that? Or yeah.
Yeah, just think about it. Like, you know, we are in a world like this is an era, right? Like where people are priding themselves on not being loud, not being expressive, not being in each other's faces, not stepping on each other's toes, right? Just taking, you know, stay in your lane. Don't, you know, like, it's almost like you don't, I mean, like, and I feel like the asshole's job right here, like me as the asshole, my job is to remind people, hey man, this is what you got to do. Like, get out there, step on people's toes, get in other people's faces. You may get slapped for it, you may get pushed for it, you may get hated for it, but I'll tell you what, the closer you get, I mean, like, it's like, go out on a limb. If it's overkill, it's fine, but you know, don't undersell yourself, right? Like, I feel like this is what comes naturally to me. I mean, like, it's not like I chose this message, but this is just a natural gift. I was born with this gift for being loud, for being extroverted, for being in people's faces and not giving a fuck, for not backing down from a fight. Like, this is what I was just born with. So here I am.
I could totally resonate with that. and it's, but what's funny about it is it works when you're genuine, when you have a genuine heart, which obviously you do. It doesn't matter whether you're the biggest prick asshole on earth. If your heart is genuine and wanting to help that person, they could give a fat fuck what you do.
You actually love
you care.
Yeah, they love it. You're right. Exactly, Leo. Exactly.
You care, and it shows. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, everybody is trying to show how little they care and how cool they are.
Right.
But the answer, no, fucking care. Care more than anybody out there. Go get into that deeper than anybody has ever explored the depths of that. Figure out what fucking makes it tick. Figure out, like, why it's different, why you're different, why everything is fucking different. Like, yes, like...
Leo's not going to go to bed till 4 a.m. this morning. It's going to be fair. But no, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, what you're saying is the truth. It's like the only way to be your authentic self is to aggressively be confident in who you are.
Yeah.
And that solves a lot of things.
Also, you figure out who you are by playing and by figuring out where your boundaries are in relation to other people around you.
Yep.
And so it turns out that even if you're crossing boundaries occasionally, you know, you're pushing against people, but like you're also like respecting those boundaries when they come up, and you say, oh, whoa, wait, like I didn't, you know, it's the dog nipping the other dog, and there's a high pitched yip, and you know, my dad is a veterinarian, so like when we got our puppy, he was like, you know, if she bites you too hard, like make a sound, let her know that was too hard, because that's how puppies play, and they figure out how to regulate their bite, and so it's actually a very important part of development is this idea of like, oh, that was a little too hard, and so you indicate that to your playmates, and so this pushing boundaries, this exploration, this bouncing back and forth, this being of the asshole. Like, yeah, it's actually incredible for helping people grow and for helping yourself grow. And so it's something if you've suppressed it for a while, and I did, it's tough to kind of get back. But once you do, it's something that just completely changes the entire game, because all of a sudden you're out there, you're making an impact, you're talking to people. You know, I've had coffee chats this week with, like, talked to somebody from Serbia. I talked to a guy today, I think from Nigeria. It was this morning.
Are you kidding me, Leo?
No, I've just started talking to people from like all over, and this is like,
yeah, man.
These aren't even podcasts. These are just like people who signed up for my calendar that I put out on the internet, because that's totally a thing that normal people do, right? Like, because I'm just having fun with it. And I'm saying, like, look, you want to talk to me? Here's a calendar. In a time when everybody's guarding their time, like, no, have my time. I want to give my time to you because I care about you as a person. I want to hear, like, what your, goals are. I want to inspire you, right?
Too. It helps you too by doing that.
But it does. And like, I gain a lot of insight into what people are looking to do. But also I just want to meet with them. And what I keep telling them is essentially like, it's all possible. Like, we are so early in everything. Like, it'll feel like you're really far behind, but you're really not, because most people in the world are moving at a very slow pace upward.
Yeah.
If you decide that you care about something enough to go out and get it, you're going to succeed because you're going to be moving faster than everybody around you. And people will notice that, and you will get the opportunities. And so I come into these coffee chats, and I sound a bit like you now, Lobow. Like, just go out there and fucking get it. Like,
I couldn't tell by that little fade out you just had right there. But no, I mean, it's okay. So you are proud of being Reddy. You are proud of yourself for being an authentic asshole with a great heart.
Man, I really, like, there's something about it. Like, for me, I feel like it's a destructive ability, and I really own that shit. Like, I really feel like we are a society that today, looks at destruction as something negative and is obsessed over creation, innovation. But if you ask me, there's no way you can innovate if you can't destroy what's existing before you create something new, right? And that's where I come in. That's my strength. I destroy. I mean, like, I can joke and say I'm an asshole because I destroy people's egos, and I destroy the peace and the harmony in this.
For the right reasons.
For the right reasons, right? I feel like that's a skill. It's a skill that you can only develop if you continue to unabashedly play with that sentiment, play with that capability, own that shit, and go out there and do it. Keep doing it. Like I said, you may step on someone's toes, maybe too hard, maybe too little, and then along the way you learn just the right amount for that given situation in that certain, circumstance. And of course, everyone's going to go wrong. I may go wrong 100 times, but the more I go wrong, the less likely I'm going to go wrong the next time wrong, right? And since this is a skill and an ability that most people don't want to nurture, don't want to harbor, because they're so scared of going over the edge into the dark side, never going to be able to come back, and no social system. We're not going to have cohort-based courses on how to be an asshole, right? How to be a destructive motherfucker. No one is going to take a course on that. Like, people are like, oh, no, right? So I feel like this is something. Yeah, you were there, right?
I would absolutely take that class.
Let's do this.
I might have to rename.
I'm there. I'm totally there. It's called Hollywood. But yeah. But no, that's a total joke. No, I see what you're saying. I mean, it honestly makes sense. That's why I leapt at this opportunity. I mean, I texted Leo and I was like, I have got to speak to both of you at the same time. It has to happen. But Leo, what are you most proud of recently?
So I'm proud of taking a shot and getting rejected. And so this is kind of a part of, like, if I'm not failing at things, I'm not pushing myself enough. And so when I realized, I've got the podcast starting, and people are kind of interested in it. I've got a list of guests, and so I said, okay, I went to my boss and I said, hey, I want to do more of this full time. And my boss was like, you're an engineer. We need you in engineering. And I took the shot, and I said, I tried to explain this is what I'm trying to build, and he didn't get it because he hasn't been focused on that for 2 years like I have, and so I didn't do a great job of selling it. And so it's something I'm still doing in the spare time, but I made the request, and then I actually was able to turn that back around and say, okay, well, why did this not go as well as I wanted it to? And it's okay, well, turns out that there's actually still some like holdups based on my previous time in corporate and like approaching my boss. And so I came in with a much different energy level and attitude because I was talking to like a superior, right? Whereas when I'm just online, when I'm just having conversations like here, I have no troubles with confidence. Like I talk about what I'm talking about very knowledgeably because I know my shit. But I realized that kind of put into that like working environment where it's like, okay, this person has authority over me. Like that has an effect, and that's not something I had even considered because I'm like, this is a completely different environment. It's a much more open environment, much more receptive to conversations. Like, but the last time I had a conversation like that, I quit my job the next day because it was a totally shitty situation. And so I realized that there was a lot like holding me back, and I was nervous about that conversation. And I talked with Lobow about it. He's like, well, if anything bad comes out of it, it's probably not a great place to work. And that was like, yeah, well, that was a good point, because I was like, the whole reason I ended up at this company is because it's a much different environment, and I knew it would be received much differently, and it wasn't received as well as I had hoped. But I made the effort there. And then also I realized I had a very key revelation, which is the whole amplifier thing, of what was missing, because I said, okay, all of this should come together and work and blow up into this event. And I should see those results, and I didn't. But not seeing those results and saying, why not, actually led me to the breakthrough that I ended up with. So, every failure is an opportunity for growth and learning. And if you're not failing, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. And I've been succeeding for a little too long. Things were going a little too smoothly. So that was a nice, sometimes I get ahead of myself. I get really excited with where I see things are going, and I try to force it because I'm like, yes, let's do it. Come on. And that's usually where I run into trouble, because I assume things are in place and I try that. But every time I do that, I'm able to then dissect it and figure out, wait, this is where I was wrong. And so I keep getting further ahead that way. But I hadn't done that in a while, so now I did, and that's what I'm proud of.
I love it. I love my shot. Yeah, I mean, the bottom line, though, is that if you're not getting rejected, then you're not playing the game.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, right? I mean, that's it.
You're sitting in the fucking stands and saying, oh, I can't believe he got rejected. What the fuck are you doing? You in the game or not?
Man, that's all it takes, right? That courage to get into the playground. And that's what you're doing, to get into the game, to get started, right? You just, even to fall flat on your face, it takes all the courage in the world, right? Just to take that first step, slip up, fall flat on your face, and get back up and say, hey, that was funny. I laughed too.
Yeah. But the bottom line is everybody's watching you. The attention is on you, and they can snicker and laugh and do whatever the hell they want. They're fans. They're not in the game.
Yeah.
It takes but what you're opening up is the ability for a fan to walk down and play.
Boom.
If they have the courage to do that. Some need some encouragement, to do that. But I think that's amazing. I am most proud of getting to know Reddy. I will tell you right now, because I feel like I fucking have known you for a long ass time. I'm gonna tell you right now, you are a brilliant, direct badass, and I am honored that I've gotten to know you. And honestly, the reason I'm so proud of that is because I just joined social media 1 year ago. I have never been on Facebook. I have never been on anything else. With Leo's encouragement and helping me feel comfortable to play, shit, I'm doing this now. I mean, where are you in right now? I mean, where are you in India or
Yeah, I'm in India.
Okay, well, fuck that, but yeah, I mean, and that's the playground.
That's the playground is worldwide now, and if you're not.
If you can't make jokes, if you can't do these kind of things, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
I am so amazed. And I was really in awe when I saw your first message, right? Your opening message. And I was like, damn, that's exactly the stuff, when I play, right? It's never for an audience. I don't play to perform. I play because I love what I'm doing, right? And I don't care about the score. I don't care if I succeed at something. I don't care if I fail at something. None of that matters. But if I were to define something that's success, that's this, right? Getting a message, someone say,
Yeah.
man, that was fucking awesome what you're doing. Let's do this again together, right? And I'm like, yeah, like this is what I live for.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, how many?
That's winning.
Right. How many shots did Michael Jordan miss at the buzzer? A fuck ton more than he made. But no one remembers the ones that he missed. So that's Leo, I'll give the opportunity to you for the fade out if you'd like. But, but that one's going to be hard to beat. But
no, and I think
it's fun.
It is fun, and that's what people need to realize, that like these are the connections that matter the most, and it's not like, you know, I don't care how many episodes or like how many listens the podcast gets. Like one listen to, you know, our podcast, Reddy, like it inspired this reaction, right, which inspired another podcast. And so I have a feeling, just based on that super limited sample size, that potentially this could, you know, reach more people, and that is fantastic. But it doesn't have to be a success, because this conversation was successful for all three of us now. I want everybody in the world to have a voice online that can be heard. And that's something, you know, it's not just having a voice, but it's having a voice that can be heard, because there are so many brilliant people who only have like a handful of followers because they don't care about like, you know, Twitter or whatever platform. Part of the thing we have to do is we have to get the idea out there that like, you need to start scaling yourself, to kind of, you know, do a plug for my podcast in terms of how you get your message out there. And I think the easiest way is to do it very much one-on-one, one person at a time. And you say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm exploring. And by doing that, you'll find that, you know, you'll have a group around you willing to help, because, you know, you've shown that authenticity. You've shown that willingness to put in the work and show up, and people really respond to that. Like, people see it. But that's where Feather comes in and really like amplifies the caring, because you have to care. And if you don't care, you're not going to do it, and it just won't do anything. Like, it won't affect anybody really, because the whole purpose is to have enough redundancy along the chains that everybody's voice will get heard, even if some of those points in the chain drop, because people get busy, people, you know, get involved with other things, people don't care as much, and that's okay. But I think if you develop just like a minimum level of caring around you that can help support that load, all of a sudden it becomes very much a community effort. It becomes a shared effort, and not something that we're all doing alone. Because right now it's like everybody's trying to build their own account, their own presence. And it's like, no, work together. Like, build a community that helps everybody.
Play together.
Yes. But God, is this invigorating.
I am so stoked. I love this whole thing about playing together. Like, you know, this is exactly what, you know, what Leo just said as well, right? Like, you know, don't just sit in your little silos working together, you know, work together, move together, play together, speak together. Like, I feel like this is the magic that play brings out, and this is what we're missing. Like, this is what we're missing in the world, because everyone's just working within their little silos. And that's what the internet gives us, this freedom, this incredible playground, without chaperones, without, you know, gatekeepers. Barge into the playground, just grab someone by the neck and say, hey man, let's play, right? I mean, like,
Right.
maybe you'll get smacked in the face, maybe you wouldn't like the first experience. Maybe you'll just be like Chris Rock, get smacked across the face, and then you're like, damn.
My God, I can't wait to do an episode on that ADHD. That's gonna be, I mean, unbelievable, right? Like,
That's the amazing part of me. Like, when I saw that, I was like, damn, like, that's the best part of being a comedian. Like, because you have to walk out on a limb. Like, if this was the 18th century.
Oh, absolutely.
Century, like a comedian, the court jester was at risk of being hanged every time his joke didn't strike home, right? Like, that was it. So, like, this is exactly the edge that we're looking for. Like, I mean, if you're not risking your ass, like, you know, when Leo goes out there and makes an effort to reach out someone, and gets something, but he loses that, he gets rejected or something happens or things don't go out the way he likes it. That's what makes it awesome, right? The fact that you're on the edge and the fact that you can win or lose. And I think this is the magic of the playground. The fact that you can win or lose. You don't want the game to be rigged in your favor. You want it to be as challenging as possible. You want it to be like, damn, am I going to win? It could be a 5,000 game and you still are like, fuck, man, am I going to be able to do this? Like, that's the magic of the playground.
It's the rush.
Yes.
It's the rush of the game-winning shot. It's the rush of the Hail Mary. Like, at the end of the game. And to piggyback on what both y'all just said, I'll promote a little bit here and say that the magic of Lobow Spark is bringing y'all to the talk here. That is the magic of this. Is we get together as a team. We bring the person in that is by himself on the playground making every single fucking shot he's shooting and no one's ever looked at him. We're the one that says, you know what? I want to show you. You're actually really fucking good. Let's play. Because how many kids out there on the playgrounds by themselves are making all these three-point shots and nobody's fucking noticing it?
What is your profession?